Let's do this. Let's talk about controlled release fertilizers and their ability to improve nitrogen use efficiency, basically in terms of how they work. And then we'll jump into some thinking questions and wrap up this unit. So controlled release is exactly what it says. It says or is stated. The release is controlled. There's a polymer coating that's applied to soluble fertilizer. The coating or the release through the coating is via diffusion. And the diffusion through the coating of nitrogen is determined by the polymer itself in terms of its chemistry, how thick the polymer is, and the coating process itself. And it's also dependent on temperature. So if you know that there's certain hole sizes, let's just call them hole sizes in this polymer, that it's going to take a certain amount of time for nitrogen to come through this size of hole versus this size of a hole. And it's dependent on temperature, among other factors. So let me share with you some of this because you probably have seen these products. Let me take a step back. Let me finish this slide first. So the release can be highly controlled using these products, and they can be designed to match plant uptake. The classic example of a control release fertilizer is Osmocote. It's been around as long as I have been around on the face of the planet. Began in 1967. There's other products that you can buy that are control release fertilizers as well. And this is what they look like. Here is a control release fertilizer, days after application, and then weeks after application. What you see is you still see the polymer coating or skin, but the fertilizer has diffused out of the skin or the polymer and has been distributed into the soil. The release rate from these products is controlled by, among other things, temperature. So this shows you the release rate of nitrogen from a controlled release product over time. So here's time on the x-axis, nitrogen released on a percentage basis on the y-axis as a function of temperature. So when the temperature is cold, very little release occurs. As the temperature increases, more release occurs. When the temperature is near room temperature, quite a bit of release occurs. The other beauty of this type of a product or these products is look at the release. The release is almost linear in every single case. And this is unlike slow or delayed release fertilizers. So let's throw a think question at you. Say you're into golf course management. Sales rep comes up to you and says that there are some new urease inhibitors on the market that are going to improve the nitrogen availability from the liquid fertilizers you use for your golf course. Should you purchase them? What sorts of questions should you be asking the sales rep? A urease inhibitor. What did I learn in ENR 5270 about urease inhibitors? Oh, I learned that they're used for when I use urea. Okay, Mr. Sales Rep, do you know that I'm using urea ammonium nitrate, but it's a liquid, and when I apply it, I know that it's either going to mostly move into the soil itself, or if it sticks on the leaves, that I flip a switch and I irrigate that parcel of my golf course immediately. So go away, right? The take-home message here for this think type question is if you know something about the product, even if you don't, you can ask a salesperson, how does this work? What does it inhibit or delay or control? And if you understand what we've just talked about in this unit and units 5A and 5B, you can make some pretty informed decisions for yourself. So I think about that in the context of coming back to these moray circles in South America. And what about the decisions that people made in this area, 2,000 years ago? What kind of decisions did they make in terms of moving soils into this area that may have had different cation exchange capacities, whether coarser or they're finer in texture, and they likely rotated crops to improve crop growth over time and likely improve, whether or not they knew it, nitrogen use efficiency and other fertilizer use efficiency in these types of systems. This is the puzzle that I want you to appreciate when you leave this class. And that's the end of Unit 5C.